Welcome to my PowerPoint presentation on customs and folklore from the west coast of Ireland in Connemara. In this PowerPoint, I will try to explain the customs that we keep alive through habits, music, story and song that have been with us for many years and are passed down through the generations. Now, I come from the west coast of Ireland and therefore I'll be talking about our customs and folklore because unfortunately my knowledge is limited about the Scottish customs, but it is growing with every day. This is why I'll be talking about our customs because I've grown up being surrounded by them for the last 21 years of my life. I come from Galway, but more specifically, I come from two parts. I come from the mainland and I also come from an island. Now, this arrow here shows you where I come from on the mainland. It's a place called Mannan, just outside the village of Ballyconneely and outside the main town, Clifton. And I also come from an island up here called Inishbofin. Inishbofin stands for the Island of the White Cow. The Atlantic Ocean played a massive part in the traditions and the lives of the people in this area, and it still does today. The west coast is known for sourcing a lot of its food from the sea, and the ocean is used very prominently in the tourist activities that still take place in Connemara during the tourist season. This is a short clip just explaining about working the land and the type of machinery that we were dealing with back in the day, the traditional horse and plough.
For centuries,
community played a massive part in role in Connemara, especially on Inishbofin, the island, where it was a very small, close-knit community. People would look out for each other and their families and their children, and this could also include chastising other people's children. This gentleman here is my grandfather, Joe McCann. This next slide. This is talking about stories being passed down. Is another really important custom. Through stories, people live on in the memories of those who listen. And this book here now was written by a woman called Mary Feeney about a very unfortunate incident that happened in October 1927 off of the west coast of Ireland. This is a poem written by a woman about the thing, and underneath I've written a small song. Come sit by the fireside and listen to me. I'll tell you a story about a tragedy of three. Rossadilis, Cleggan, Boffin Harbour all shared the pain in 1927, October the 28th. That's just a small taste about the tragic incident that did happen on that evening. Now, my journey of tradition and customs have been channeled through music since I was about 13 years of age. This is at the Return to Camden Town Festival in 2016, and music plays a massive part in tradition. It's the people, you'd have house sessions, you'd have gigs, you'd just be enjoying the crack. This leads on also to the more modern stuff now that is collaborating. This is me with my Ceilidh band in 2018, with most of the members now, not that young fella in the middle, but this is another thing. Traditions, collaborating, passing down, exchanging tunes and information and keeping these customs alive is just very key to what we do. And this is the same thing again here now. Storytelling, sharing, sessions, great thing. This is a photo of me and my friend Finn at a session that I run normally every Wednesday, or I used to, just having the crack, having a laugh. And Finn's a great storyteller. He'd always be telling stories into the microphone through the PA and making everyone laugh. So what is tradition? It's the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on in this way. Now, this can be through music, song, dance, stories, little sort of jokes here and there. It's really whatever you make of it. Old traditions. Now, this is a St. Bridget's cross. They're made out of reeds, and it's a very old tradition that goes back to St. Bridget's Day in Ireland. And you would make these yourselves in the family, and you would give them out to people. At least that's what my family traditions have been. Another older tradition is saluting the magpie, which my mum has drilled into me since I was a baby. So whenever I see one, I will always recite this little verse, I shall say. Morning, Mr. Magpie. How's the wife today? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, 5 for a secret, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret, never to be told. This is another old tradition. Making the sign of the cross now. Whenever I drive past the church, again, another thing that's been drilled into me is to bless myself with the sign of the cross driving past the church, or even if I drive past a hearse with a funeral, part of a funeral parade, Um, Newer traditions are creeping up definitely throughout um, Ireland now. This is a silly little tradition, but it has become very popular in Ireland for the last sort of 20 years. It's called the 12 Pubs of Christmas. And the idea is that you go out and you have a bit of a pub crawl and you go to 12 pubs on Christmas Eve. Now I'm going to talk a slight bit about fiddle music as a tradition, because that's obviously my speciality. My fiddle style has come from the west coast of Ireland, so Sligo, Galway, and although I've had a fair few teachers, I love to think that I've amalgamated all their different styles into my own fiddle playing style now, which I think is unique and that I will pass down. Fiddle Styles of Ireland. So this is a really interesting little thing. So this gentleman here is Michael Coleman, who came from Sligo, and he was an absolutely brilliant fiddle player back in the day. Obviously now the traditions have become a bit more advanced and the styles and everything. So we do still pay homage to the playing styles, but it's evolved a lot. This gentleman here is John O'Doherty from Donegal, who's a completely different style of playing to Michael Coleman. But again, his traditional playing is just something that we have to pay homage to, because without it, we wouldn't be where we are today. And at the end of the day, I think tradition is what you make of it. It's the little things that are passed down. You might not think much of it as a kid, but as you get older and you gain more respect for it, you begin to realise that it plays a massive part in your life, whether or not you see it or not. So thank you very much for listening.